welcome back to the Angry Dave podcast. I am Dave. My next guest is the world renowned real estate entrepreneur,
Oh Lord,
Frank Genzano.
Jesus Christ! Way to kick a guy when he's down, for crying out loud. I
Oh, God,
was just telling your son about the difference between a job and owning your own business.
you are world renowned.
Well, probably not for real estate. I can tell you that.
Uh,
Yeah,
Frank, we have known each other. I mean, we're both South Philly guys, but we really probably only really been friends for about 10 years, maybe around that.
yeah. 2010, right?
Yeah, you start playing baseball, right? And
I
then,
did. Yeah. Steve Preeny. Shout out to Steve Preeny, introduced us,
yeah,
and now you infiltrated my friends group.
I did. I
Yeah,
did. I did.
you really,
I
you're
have.
more friends with my friends than I am
Yeah, it's
right now.
yeah, Ricky Lee's and Danny. I hang out with Danny now and again. Me and Danny had a falling out during COVID.
Well, yeah, for good reason. You kept breaking glasses in his bar. First of all, that was probably, if you want to talk about best angry Dave moment, is you didn't take direction and you kept putting glasses on your head.
I paid for that. Oh,
And yeah, with the only way Danny knows how to do it, right?
a swift kick to the ball.
Yeah, basically, like an adult, like any other adult would do. Yeah,
So, all right, Frank, I'd start most of these podcasts on off with asking anybody if they have any angry Dave stories. You have any of those?
I do actually. So that gets into like kind of what your persona is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
The angry Dave. You and I were at an establishment. I'm not gonna name the establishment,
yeah.
but you asked me to meet you,
Uh-huh.
and I met you, and a slight little disagreement started with a group of other gentlemen.
Okay.
Do you remember this?
I probably
We're at
don't.
the back bar of that establishment,
Uh-huh.
and a guy said something to you that I didn't think was egregious.
Hmm.
And you went from 0 to Magaldi in about 3.4 seconds. And I'm like, all right, now I got to fight 12 guys. It's just me and Dave, and there's 12 other guys that we're having an argument with. And thankfully, Pat, the GM, kind of stepped in a little bit.
Oh,
One of the gentlemen who worked there kind of stepped in, and cooler heads prevailed. And by cooler heads, I mean the other people, because you weren't cool at all, right? And listen, I was ready to do whatever I needed to do to help you out at that point in time. But you were very angry. But I but I think that goes to like your childhood and like you growing up,
yeah.
you being this is not a shot at you, but smaller in stature,
Yes, I'm
right?
little.
So you had to kind of pick up for yourself, and you're always ready to go. You're ready to fight whenever you needed to. But honestly, I'm going to say this out loud. I really am probably going to get a lot of shit for it. Am I allowed to curse? I know there's a
Yeah, yeah.
10-year-old here right now.
No.
I feel like Father Flanagan at St. Edmunds right now. There's a 10-year-old here in
You're allowed.
confession.
As I told John Ganone, John, you just told me about felonies that you committed. I don't care if you fucking curse.
Yeah. So, I think kids aren't bullied enough these days. I'm just putting it out there. I think kids are really soft these days. I mean, think about like so listen, in my family,
Yeah,
we bully each other for sport.
right,
My kids bully us back.
right,
And it's just kind of pointing out who you are out loud,
right,
right? So I'm 10, I'm Nick, I'm your age, right? Let's I'm at football practice,
right.
right? And I remember Coach Rodney was a
Yeah,
black guy. And I think it's really important for me to say that in this story so you could understand that Coach Rodney was a black guy.
yeah,
So I was dogging, doing up downs, right?
yeah.
And he came over and whispered in my ear hole. He said, Genzano, if you don't start doing these right, I'm going to go home and fuck your mother. And dude, I still believed in Santa Claus at that point. Like, like I was like, oh, like, does my dad know about this? Does my dad know you're going to go home and do this to my mom? Nick, I'm sorry, by the way, dude, the whole Santa Claus thing. No, did I just, you're good with that? You're good. All right, cool.
Good, nice job,
Yeah,
Frank.
Nick's like, fuck Santa Claus too. I don't
Yeah,
really
yeah.
care.
Good. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just ruined this kid's Christmas.
Well, way to perpetuate that lie. So like, it's that doesn't happen anymore. And
Yeah.
not that coaches should be saying that, but
No.
like my friends group who you're friends with right now, like
Right.
nothing gets by them. Like
No.
there's nothing that that goes unsaid. And I think there's a lot that goes in that personal development as a person, right?
Yeah.
Like someone being honest with you and giving you real feedback instead of saying that, oh, you're a delicate flower and your sensibilities really matter and your place in the world. No, tell the guy he's got a cross-eyed. Like you don't think that guy knows like you don't think you knew you were small. Like
I
you
knew it.
right, exactly. I was skinny, you were small.
I was
Like
chubby.
like we had to figure it out,
Yeah.
you know. I
But
had a gigantic nose. Like I had my eighth grade teacher tell me I was going to be arrested for stealing everyone's air once.
but Frank, I appreciate your long defense of me, and I really do. But but here's the point. When this story that you're telling, was I 40 years old at least?
You were 40. Yeah, you were. It's
So
like, yeah.
you're supposed to figure it out by then.
No, but maybe I don't know. I haven't. There's some things we haven't figured out.
No, well,
No,
the
like
anger thing I haven't figured
no,
out
we
yet.
haven't figured that. But listen, listen. I go from zero to Genzano pretty quickly too, and you pointed this out to me. I have a really good ability of pulling out the
Oh
worst out
boy.
of some of people.
Oh God.
Yeah,
You're the one of the nicest human beings on the face of the planet, Bob Ferraro. I hope he's okay that I just mentioned his name. But I have never seen somebody get under Bob's skin more than you.
it's really a gift.
He's just such a fucking nice man.
He really is. His the pitch in his voice changed that day. It really is. I listen, I got because that incident happened at the same bar.
Yeah,
It's an establishment we no longer, give our money to. But
yeah,
I remember sitting in, and I think this is when I fell in love with you. I'm going to be honest with you.
yeah,
This is when I knew like you were one of my people, right?
right.
Me, you, and Steve, who's a lawyer,
Yeah,
and we're going to talk about the lawyer, real estate agent, like profession. Hopefully,
yeah.
Steve is a lawyer.
So Steve just did the podcast. That is Stevie Iraq.
He's Stevie Iraq.
Yeah,
Oh
you got to
man,
listen to the podcast and
this
know.
must be the most boring episode you've ever.
It was a very heartfelt episode, actually.
Because he's such a sincere guy.
He's a sincere guy, and he talked about his son, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
We were out once, and I called him dad twice, and he got really angry.
he's got a lot of gray
He's
hair.
got a lot of gray hair, but he's our age, but he
Yeah,
looks like somebody's dad. He wears the Jordan Air dads, the Monarchs, right? Like
he's always
he's
got khaki pants on.
always that are too big, like too big. Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. I love you, buddy. So you and I are sitting at a bar with Stevie Iraq, right? And then there a guy who I haven't seen in a really long time shows up at the bar, right? And he's
Right.
sitting next to me, and he was there for a little bit, enjoying himself.
Yeah,
And out of nowhere, it got really quiet, and I think Steve's trying to keep the conversation going.
yeah.
And he asked about your mom's boyfriend.
Now let's cut it right there, because my dad had passed away maybe 3 years before.
Yeah, yeah,
3 years before.
yeah.
Again,
It's kind of a weird question, right?
it was a weird question.
It was a weird question, and you didn't let it go. Right? You didn't let it go, and you went really. It was almost like someone like in like in the movies when they shut the music off abruptly and you hear the record scratch.
Uh,
It was so quiet in the bar, and you went, "Really, Steve? You're asking about my mom's boyfriend? My dad's dead. My dad's dead. You're asking about the guy who's sleeping with my mom."
I think what I said, the guy who's fucking
I'm
my mother.
trying to clean it up a little bit. Someone's grandmother's. I'm talking about someone's grandmother. So right. And my friend drank his drink really quickly and ran out of the bar. And that was 9 years ago. I haven't seen him since.
He runs out of the bar, and Frank turns to me. He says, "Really, Dave?"
Jesus Christ. I said, are you fucking kidding me right now? You went, what? What? My dad is dead, Frank. And you just wouldn't let it go. And Steve couldn't. He couldn't.
He was so upset, and it was just really comedy. It was just the
It was.
greatest comedy
It was.
ever.
And listen, and getting back to what we were talking, like Steve's one of us, right?
Yeah,
He's our kind of guy,
he's a good man. Yeah.
right? Like you lent him your dad's glove once.
I did.
And what did he say to you?
He said, "I hope I don't get cancer."
Horrible, right? It's horrible, but it made you laugh,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And someone said something around me once. Someone called me brother. You're my brother, and you said you don't want to be his brother.
Oh,
So I have two brothers who passed away.
yeah.
So it. says who we are, like how we are brought up, how we
Yeah,
value each other, how we value honesty,
right.
transparency,
Yeah,
and basically laughing at pain.
yeah. What else is there to do? You can cry.
Not really us.
Yeah, no, it's
No.
not. I'm
And
not
it's
good at
not
it.
a masculine thing, right? Like we're normal human beings. We cry in the shower like everybody else, right? So no
Right,
one sees us.
right,
Nick, we cry in the shower. You'll
right.
get there soon, buddy. Don't worry about it.
Let's give them a little bit of background of who you are,
Yeah,
where you've been. So you were born in South Philadelphia, correct?
I was 23rd Street.
And you are how old?
I'm really old. I'm really 48 years
You're
old.
48 years old.
75.
All right, and you grew up west side of Broad Street mostly.
West Side, West Passyunk, 23rd Street,
Yeah,
St. Edmunds. That's back when each neighborhood in South Philadelphia was identified by a parish.
right.
You know,
Yeah, and then you had Prism first, so it's important for everybody to
you
know
just
that.
can't let it go, can you?
Fuck you and
I
Prism.
wasn't going to bring it up. Prison, by the way, was cable television that was present probably in 1975-ish,
Right?
1974,
Yeah,
when the Flyers were in the Stanley Cup.
yeah.
And only one side of Broad Street, 19145, had cable television because Frank Rizzo hated everyone in 1948,
48
basically, which always messed me up because the actual cable company's address
was one more 48.
was 19148. Think about the self-hating shit that was happening with that, right? Uh,
And you once bought me a Prism shirt for my birthday. You remember that?
I actually bought you a Prism shirt for your housewarming gift here that
Oh,
we're in.
that's right.
Yeah, because
I'm a,
now you're a 4-5 guy.
that's right. I'm a 4 or 5 guy.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. So what were you like as a kid? You did have an older brother. You had an older
I
brother
did. Yeah,
and
Michael.
Michael, and you, other brother you had, he died very young,
Birth. Yeah,
birth.
at
Yeah.
birth. Yeah.
So you and Michael growing up South Philly, what was that like?
So I mean, it was basically he was 5 years, 4.5 years younger, older than me actually, and I was the troublemaker. I really he was the good-looking, blonde hair, blue eye, looked like Barry Manilow, good-looking dude, angry at times.
Yeah,
He actually had some of the same friends as you have.
I do. That's
You know,
right.
Johnny D'Angelo, Joey Edwards,
Yep.
Louis, like a lot of those guys, right?
Right.
And he was kind of my protector because I would start trouble because I knew that in the event that I lost a fight or I got in really big trouble, like he would kind of bail me out.
Yeah.
And if he couldn't bail me out, I know my dad could,
Right.
which was I'm pretty sure you had the same relationship with your dad as I did,
Yeah.
you know. So, growing up, I was always the one making plans. I was always the one, taking charge of like, hey, we're going here, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. But all I wanted to do was honestly, I just wanted to play baseball.
Right.
That was it, or play a sport,
Right. Yeah.
hockey, football when football was in season.
Right.
But from like October to January, it was like basketball, football. But as soon as January hit, the only thing I was thinking about was playing baseball
Yeah.
at some level or doing something baseball related.
Do you got a first memory about childhood?
I do. I do. I'm
Give
going to share it about our friend,
Yeah, give it to me.
John D'Angelo.
Yeah.
So Johnny D'Angelo is a sweetheart of a human being.
Awesome
He
guy.
he he really is. And going back to what I was saying earlier about kind of kids being honest with each other, right?
Yeah.
So I think I was three, maybe two, maybe three. And the first time I ever met John was born with no legs.
Yeah.
And he's got a defective right arm. He's got like a normal, regular working left arm, and he knows this. Like and at a very young age, he's accepted who he is,
Yeah.
and fantastic basketball player. Played against Dr. J and like Will Chamberlain wheelchair basketball,
Yeah.
right?
He was the Jerry West of wheelchair basketball.
Phenomenal shot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But on top of phenomenal human being.
Right.
By the way, shout out to him because the first time I ever got into a strip club or a club period, I think I was 14 years old and I wheeled him into the club because no one ever questions a guy who's wheeling the guy in on a wheelchair,
That's
right?
right. Right.
So I went up to him and he said, "Hi, Frank." And I said, "Hi, what's your name?" He said, "John." I said, "Hi, John. What happened to your legs? You have no legs." He was like, "I have no legs. What happened?" That's a brilliant comeback,
It
right?
is. Yeah.
And then every time I saw him for like 2 weeks after that, like I felt like every day
Yeah.
he gave me a different reason why he didn't have legs.
That's
Like,
a
oh, it was an extra in a Jaws movie.
um,
Or hey, don't play on train tracks because this is what happens to you. I remember that with my brother, like, as a very early childhood
Yeah.
memory.
He was such a good sport. You know, we call him, his nickname is Wheels.
Wheels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he just loves it. I mean, we've
I
got
don't know if he loves it. I think
yeah,
he just deals with it.
yeah, he deals with it. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Fuck. Jesus, we're awful human beings. There's been so many times where we would just fucking brutalize him when we were drunk. I
Yeah.
mean, just fucking. We once told a bunch of people at a club in Delaware County. I forget the name of the damn club now, but we once told them that he lost his legs in a helicopter accident in overseas. It was right around the time that Black Hawk Down came. We told these girls that he lost his legs and we had to pull him out by his
Oh,
nostrils.
laughing at that. That's a horrible story.
So
That is a horrible story.
girls didn't say anything. They just shut down and just
Did he sleep with one of them that night? Because he
listen.
listen,
He had no trouble.
he never had he's a good-looking guy, he's
Yeah,
personable. He never had trouble.
he's such a
No.
great human
Yeah.
being.
Yeah.
He deserves better friends. You were a little bit of a troublemaker. That what do you?
I was yeah, huge troublemaker, actually. I think little bit would be I got thrown out of 2nd grade for mooning Sister Rose David's class. Nick, you know what mooning is? It's when you pull your pants down, you show your whole butthole to, like, the whole class, right?
Yeah,
And then I got thrown out of 7th grade, but 7th grade wasn't my fault. I was just a smart ass, and it just caught up to me.
yeah,
But yeah, I was a little bit of a troublemaker. I can't believe I'm saying this. This is when I found out who my father was, right?
yeah.
Like you kind of find out like if your father is a good guy, a bad guy, a tough guy, kind of a wimpy guy, if he had any influence or if anyone just like kind of walked all over him, right? So me and Anthony, who you know, I'm
Yeah,
not going to say his last name.
right.
He went to your high school. He was a couple years older than you.
Yep, yep.
He had a BB gun, right? And it
Yeah,
was like right around time Goodfellas, the movie Goodfellas came out.
yeah,
So there was a kid named Mark in the neighborhood, and we were just being kids playing jailbreak.
yeah.
You know, we called it Releasio in our neighborhood because we wanted to sound Italian.
Mm.
Yeah, we caught Mark, and I made him get on his knees, and I tried to shoot him in the back of his head, and
What? You did what? He bought a BB gun? What is your fucking problem? Jesus Christ. I mean, I killed a dog, but go ahead.
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah,
But you killed a dog on accident.
yeah, it was an
Yeah.
accident.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't do this on accident. I really hated this kid. I feel bad about it. There's at times at night when I think about that was a horrible thing to do, right?
You did execute him, but you shot
I
him?
shot him in the back of the head with the BB gun. Nick, don't ever do that, by the way. And his dad showed up
Good.
and knocked on my door.
Yep.
It's back when people were allowed to knock on your door and you just answered it without a problem.
Right.
So I answered it, and my eyes got really big. He was like, "Yeah, I know you did it, Genzano, right?"
Yeah.
He's like, "You shot my son in the back of the head." I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And my father got up from the couch,
Yeah.
you know, shirt off,
Yeah.
right? It's like Parliament cigarette like hanging out of his mouth. All right. He said to the guy, he's like, "You got a problem with my son?" He goes, "Yeah, your son shot my son in the back of the head with a BB gun." And he looked at me, he was like, "Frankie, did you do that?" I'm like, "Dad, I don't know what he's talking about. I have no idea." He was like, "I think you should walk home right now." Right? And we sat on the step and we waited till the guy to get to the corner.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Frankie, I need you to be honest with me right now. Did you do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, Dad, I did that." He was like, "I know you did that. Get in the house." Oh my God. But you know, I was a bad kid.
Yeah.
Right. But I wasn't the worst kid in our neighborhood,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Speaking of, but I was raised by two pretty tough people, you know. My
Right.
my mother and my father, who you have a lot of experience with,
Yeah.
you know, God rest his soul. I
Yeah.
miss him so much. I really do.
Yeah.
But recent, I don't know if you know about what happened to my mother recently.
I don't.
So, a couple weeks ago, her and my aunt are out grocery shopping.
Yeah.
You know, she lives in New Jersey right now,
Right.
and she saw some dude on her porch with a box. And she walks up to him and says, "Excuse me, can I help you?" And he turned around and handed her the box. He said, "Yours," and then turned my back to my mom and then attempted to continue to break into her house. right?
Yeah.
So my mother said, "Excuse me, I can't. Excuse me, I need you to leave." And he's not like paying attention to her. So my mother shoved him in the back, and his face hits the door. And she pulled him back. She punched him right in the
I
face.
love her.
So my aunt sees this happening.
Yeah.
She gets out of the car and she starts beating the crap out of this dude with her handbag.
That's amazing.
The meantime, the guy is running around the house trying to lift the windows up to get into the house.
Oh my god.
Jumps into my aunt's car, tries to steal the car, right? They pull him out of the car, and then he jumps in the truck that he showed up in,
Yeah.
which we found that was later stolen. And what this guy did was he just followed the directions that were in the GPS to my mother's neighbor's house.
Oh.
Cops caught him. They're charging him for grand theft auto or auto
Yeah.
theft, breaking and entering, and theft.
Right.
So I'm talking to the cops, right? And I said, well, what about aggravated assault? And the cop looked at me, he goes, I don't think he's going to press charges for aggravated assault. His lip was out to here. His eye was red.
Oh
But
yeah.
here's the messed up part. And, I hope this guy gets like help,
Yeah.
right? He showed up the next night at my mother's house. Like he got released from jail, like this whole like bail reform. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
he got released the next day and her address was on the papers and he thought he was supposed to like report there. So like something's not right. Like
Yeah.
her probably shouldn't even be talking about this, but our court date's like in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So she never had a problem here. Like
Right.
living in South Philly, she
Yeah.
never had that kind of problem. But she moves out to the suburbs and now she's got to deal with this.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right. So talk to me about you going into high school. What were you like then in high school?
My God, my friends are gonna kill me for this. They really are. Nick, I'm definitely gonna need like a refill with like a little ice, buddy. Sorry, man. I'm sending our engineer to get a little more Four Roses bourbon. So high school was I always hung out with older kids, you know,
Right.
you know, Danny, Joe Sergio. Sorry, Joe, for saying your name. But I remember the first week of high school, I started basically a riot at Newman Newman Grade.
Really?
Yeah, there was a group of kids from a different part of the city.
Yeah.
And you know how that goes,
I do.
right?
Yeah.
We didn't have gangs. We just kind of identified on like
Or your neighbor.
what
Yeah.
corner you hung out on, right?
Right.
And I cracked some dude who was kind of talking behind my back, and a lot of the older heads got involved.
Yeah.
So that was my first week at Newman, but I wasn't a good student. Like
Yeah.
I didn't take grades seriously. Like it was just probably undiagnosed ADHD or ADD.
Yeah.
Um, got by without studying. I would leave school in the middle of the day to go home to go to the bathroom. Like, by the way, let me talk. I went to St. Edmunds School
Yeah.
when they used to let you go home for lunch.
Right. I remember that.
Do you know how many times I didn't go back to school? Right? Because like you just got the new Nintendo, like
Right.
you want to play the Nintendo, and then the teachers would send one of my friends to come get me. Right, and then I would just tell my friends to stay here and play Nintendo with me, and by like 1:30, like two of my friends were there. They would call my father. My father would come home from work and drive us all back to school for the hour. Yeah, that's that. I just didn't take it serious, which is bad, right? Because your
Yeah.
education is your respect, and I just knew that I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
I'd rather be out making money, and that's kind of always what my mindset was. Like, I'm just going to do whatever I little I can do to pass, which is horrible, by the way. Nick, don't ever do that. And just kind of like skate by,
Right.
right? Which is funny because like I always find myself now trying to get as much like education as possible,
Right.
which is weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't a great student.
How were you at home? What would your parents have said about you in high school?
I was always very respectful
Yeah.
to my mother and my father. Listen, it's they didn't have it easy, right?
Right.
And I knew that.
Yeah.
I had to stop playing baseball so I can go get a couple jobs just to kind of help out. So I
Right.
wasn't asking them for money.
Right.
They probably would have said, I kind of figured it out in high school, like not to be like a menace.
Right.
Had a girlfriend. I
Yeah.
had a high school sweetheart who actually went to your school
Yep.
because we only had boys in our school,
Right.
Newman, St. John Newman. Cindy was my high school sweetheart.
Yep.
And I tried to spend as much time with her because I knew if I was with her, I wouldn't be out getting in trouble.
Yeah.
So, and kind of kept my nose clean, did minimal in school, but like worked three jobs.
Yeah.
I would count lemons. I would clean lemons at the distribution. I would work weekends with Danny and Ernie at the President Banquet Room at
Yeah.
23rd and Jackson, and
Yeah.
then me and Freddie Valsio, we would be the TV repair people and swap TVs out at Methodist Hospital. So that was like my three jobs in high school.
Right. Any bad trouble in high school? Any crazy stories?
I mean, I don't want to be Johnny Ganone here, but you
No.
know,
No. I mean,
there was always fights. There was always
yeah.
disagreements with
Yeah.
with other people.
Yeah.
I could tell you the first time I met Richie Stella.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about Richie Stella real
Yeah.
quick. Right. Richie was cops came to the school for a fight like midday, and the cop pulled up abruptly to the front of the school and ran in. And while they were calling us back into school, Richie Stella jumped on the cop car back into the school. Like, I think I want to be friends with that guy. I definitely want to hang out with that guy.
That's funny.
Yeah, Richie's a good dude. Great golfer. He's a
Yeah.
really good golfer. He's a good friend. Like Richie's a kind and I think that's kind of like my friend group, right? Like
Yeah.
I have all my childhood friends.
Right.
I have you, I have Richie Stella. Like they're all guys I can call right now and be like, yo, I need help right now. And they would drop everything that they're doing to come and help me.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
So you did graduate in 93?
93, went to Northwood University, thought I was going to be a baseball player in
Yeah.
college there. Got hurt
Yeah.
in a bar fight with a team that we beat earlier in the day. Tore my rectus abdominal muscle, which is now called a sports hernia.
Yep.
Um, going to drop a little interesting hint. My Friday finance class was taught by Frank Abagnale.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
From
from Catch Me If You Can.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I never went to that class ever.
Really?
Like I saw that dude twice. My first day of class and my final grade. I went and talked to him, and I wish I would have spent more time in that class because he's such an interesting guy.
Yeah. Frank Abagnale is the reason you have routing numbers.
He's the exact reason why you have routing numbers. He's a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
And it's back when he was working for the FBI, and he was kind of like dialing it back a little bit.
Right.
Yeah,
Calming down.
yeah.
That's interesting. So you finish out college? What did you do?
I didn't finish college at Northwood University. I came back and played 2 years at community college,
Yeah.
studied business, and then my whole entrepreneurial kind of like background kicked in. Got a job at AIG. One of my early clients was Marie Bartoloroma. She's a financial correspondent, I think, for Fox now. By the time she was with MSNBC,
Right.
she gave me an idea to create a product for an umbrella product for high profile people's actors, actresses, politicians, stuff like that.
Yeah. Insurance product.
Insurance product,
Yeah.
yeah. Went and developed a product with fine folks over at US Liability, United States Liability Insurance Group, while working on getting my degree. Did a couple semesters over at Cabrini College over there, and then finished up at Florida State. Got an associate at in risk management, BS in management, and an MBA, and then became a real estate agent.
So when did you first start doing real estate? How old were you?
2012.
2012.
So
So
however old that makes me. Was I
uh,
36? I guess 35.
and you were doing insurance up until
So I
then?
sold, so I opened up, I got really lucky. We were privately owned. We got purchased by Berkshire Hathaway and I was fully vested. So I did pretty well with that,
Yeah.
obviously. And then wanted to kind of get back to the community, became a retail agent, affiliated with a exclusive company. I'm not going to say the name, but then decided ethically maybe it's not the best to partner with them because of some of the things they did during Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
Kind of felt some way about that. Then got into real estate.
Real
Yeah.
estate. And when did you get with Andrea? And Andrea is your wife.
Andrew's my wife. Best thing that's probably ever happened to me in a long time. That was the week after 9/11.
Okay.
Yeah, I met her at my friend's wedding. Joe Sergio married Michelle.
Right.
And the claim to fame with Joey was he was married, divorced, re-engaged even before I proposed. So we were both in the wedding,
Yeah.
and I was immediately like attracted to her. And I
Yeah.
was listen back when I had hair and I was really skinny and ton of confidence. I had it going. I had it really going on. I was very confident.
Yeah.
And I hit on her for like 3 days because the,
Yeah.
the, the Italian weddings, you got to do the rehearsal dinner, the
Yeah.
serenade. It's back when they used to do the serenade before the wedding.
Yeah.
I hit on her for like 3 days.
Yeah.
And then a couple other girls showed interest in me.
Yeah.
And that kind of was like, I'm done with you. Like I'm gonna go and see what this is about.
Yeah.
And that bothered her. I'm like, oh, so you are interested. I
Yeah.
got it. So you're being stuck up then, right? And then, as soon as I called her stuck up, I think I told her we got shots at the bar and I told her to shut up and do the shot.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's where the romance
It's
began.
where we got.
But
Yeah.
she was like a fifth year like graduate student at
Yeah.
St. Joe's and I was a little far past that.
Right.
I was like traveling the country. I had an expense account
Yeah.
for a guy my age.
Yeah.
Nick, I was doing some things you shouldn't be doing on the West Coast. Let's just say every time an ancestry DNA match comes in, I have a panic attack. Okay. So, but yeah, we our first date was in October of 2021. Um,
No, not 21.
20, sorry.
Yeah.
Wow, sorry. 2020. Wow. Yeah,
2002?
2001.
Okay. Yeah.
October 2001.
2001.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's 20.
Yeah.
That's over 20 years ago.
Yeah, the bourbon's kind of kicking in right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah. So, and then when did you guys eventually get married?
June 18th, 2005.
2005.
Yeah.
And then the twins come in 2008,
2007. Yeah, that
2007.
was a kick in the balls. And
So,
and here, listen, it's a blessing, right?
yeah.
But I just wanted one, Nick. I just wanted one kid, Nick. I didn't want two, right? We renovated our house, our 3 bedroom house. We made it a 2 bedroom with a huge like master bedroom, right?
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, surprise, you're having boy girl twins.
There's twins running her family?
No, and that's where the doctor almost got cracked. Like he was like, "Oh, it's got to start somewhere," and I was squeezing his shoulders at that point when he said that, and he
Yeah.
said, "Ow, you're really hurting me." Sorry about that, Doctor Gerhardt. I really am. Um, but yeah, that was a tough day.
Yeah.
It was a Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
I don't remember much of that weekend other than we had to go for an ultrasound after that.
And you had a boy and a girl.
We had a boy and a girl, not to be morbid, July the 9th,
Yeah.
right down the street. So my brother passed away,
Yeah.
right? And then Andrew was home from the shore because July 10th, we had to find out the sex of the babies.
Wow.
And where Michael passed away at Methodist Hospital is where we had to go for the ultrasound the next day.
Yeah.
So I am fully convinced my brother spirit lives in my son's body because he is
Yeah.
my brother
Yeah.
to a T. He looks like him, he acts like him, he has his mannerisms.
Yeah.
Um, he's caring, he's endearing, he's sensitive,
Yeah.
he's cocky, like loves all the things my brother loved.
Yeah.
So, that was kind of a blessing in a really bad time.
Yeah. And how old was your brother?
36.
36. And he had how many? He had three kids.
Three kids.
Three kids.
Three kids.
Just talk a little bit about that. I don't want to go deep into it.
We can. It's
Yeah.
fine. His oldest is Alexa, who he adopted.
Yeah.
Michael, great kid.
Yeah.
Spent so much time with him. Very much mirrored my brother and my son right now, just with his mannerisms and
Yeah.
personality.
Yeah.
And then Nicolette, who is his youngest,
Yeah.
um, unfortunately passed away to epilepsy
Yeah.
on my birthday in 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't get much more miserable than that.
It doesn't, but it's resilient family.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law is doing an amazing job. My niece, my nephew, fantastic job of just overcoming that adversity, right, and deal
Yeah.
with it every day. And we chased Nick out.
Yeah.
Santa Claus didn't chase Nick out, but that did.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Um, so
We lost our bartender.
talk to me
Not
about
the first time I lost my bartender, by the way.
losing your 36-year-old brother with three kids and how that affects the family.
Yeah, I mean that was our first big loss.
Yeah.
You know, um, and up until Nicolette's passing, that was the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Right? I felt pretty helpless because
Yeah.
I was with him. during that time. It kind of strengthened the family. I'll say that. That kind of has one of two things to do to family. It could tear it apart or it could strengthen it, right?
Yeah.
And both times, thankfully, or every passing, it kind of always strengthens our family,
Right.
you
Right.
know. But, that was it's me personally, I could tell you that losing a sibling, it's just an empty feeling for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
He was always my guy. We always had like inside jokes if we were at like family functions and I knew he was done. Like
Yeah.
I could tell. And I would always kind of try to prolong his stay just to agitate him,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
Frank, get away from Frank. I'm off of this,
Yeah.
and it was just him and I always had like inside jokes.
Yeah.
I miss him. I only ever wanted what was best for him. Oh
Right.
shit, sorry about that.
That's all right.
And he feel like he deserved better,
Yeah. Right.
than what happened to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Sad.
it was a heart attack, by the way. It
Yeah.
was
Heart attack. Family was there.
I was there.
You were
Yeah,
there.
Andrea, me, my mom, his wife, his three kids, all in the house. My grandmother, my mother came downstairs. He went upstairs, came in from dinner for dinner on a Monday night. Really hot Monday, by the way. It was like one of those days where it was like 100 degrees or 95 degrees for like 4 or 5 days straight. So it was just
Yeah.
humid. My mother came down and was like, Frank, I think we need to take Michael to the hospital. And I came upstairs and I found him,
Yeah.
and he was in bad shape.
Bad shape. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad. Um, Talk a little bit about Nicolette for me, and then we'll move on to funner things.
Let me tell you, I mean, talk about someone always being honest with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely, like, love of my life. I remember, I'll share this story because she was just brilliant, brilliant kid with knowing who she was. I'm at my parents' house. Family dinner's like really big for us, right?
Yeah.
And having a really bad day at work. I was working. I didn't have a business at this time.
Yeah.
And she looked down at me. She was like, "What's the matter with you?" Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm having a bad day. I'm not really happy. And she looked down at me and she was like, "Well, why don't you do what makes you happy? You deserve that."
Yeah. How old was she?
Probably. So this is when I made the decision to become a real estate agent.
Yeah.
So this was 2012.
Right.
Yeah, she was probably 13.
13 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that
Yeah.
stuck with me, and that kind of, you know, when you said earlier, like, we haven't figured it out yet, that
Yeah.
kind of figured it out for me.
Yeah.
That she was like, "Do what makes you happy." Like,
Yeah.
you can't be miserable and
Right.
doing something that you don't wanna do. Go do something that's gonna make you happy, you
Yeah.
know? And I always had good people around me when that happened, and I attribute you to that, right? Because you knew when to be around me when I needed you the most.
Yeah. Well, I owe you an apology for that time because I didn't have anything to laugh about that.
Yeah.
I wasn't around for you
No,
during.
you were though, because I called you. Listen,
I
I
wasn't.
I called you when I needed you,
Yeah. I
right?
hear you. I
You
hear
know,
you.
and you showed up. You showed up at that night at the bar,
Yeah.
and you were amazing. Literally, my birthday sucks like every
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
and you know that, right?
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
And I called you, and I'm like, "Yo, like, I'm gonna be at the bar tonight if you want to like have a drink." And you were the last one there. You didn't leave me
Yeah.
because you knew that time sucked. And regardless, Dave, like, I never whether someone comes to a viewing or a funeral, like I that doesn't matter to me.
Of
What
course. Yeah. Yeah.
matters to me is if I call you when I need you, right?
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you letting me off the hook, but I just couldn't. I couldn't be there. I wish I was better at that. I did it to my grandmother. I did it to you. I'm not good at those situations where I can't make a joke. There's nothing funny about it. There's nothing funny about a young kid, a 20-year-old kid dying. It's not fucking funny. So I can't make a joke about it.
Yeah, but is that your defense mechanism
Of
with
course.
dealing with
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
I can't. What I can offer being there and keeping your mind off of things, and that I guess that's what I did for you that day. Is we had some fun and just kept our mind off of things we didn't talk about.
yeah,
The obvious, right?
right. It sucks, right?
Yeah,
Kid who's 20 years old, 2 days before her birthday,
Yeah.
which is pretty ironic because my brother died 2 days before his fucking birthday,
Yeah. Yeah.
So way to bring this podcast down to a
Whoa,
crashing halt for crying
whoa.
out
All
loud.
right. All right. Cheers to both of them,
Yeah.
especially Nicolette.
It's
Yeah, to both. I mean, to both of them,
Yeah, but let me tell you about like her friends.
Yeah.
Like her friend group is amazing. Like Dominique, who was one of her closest friends,
Yeah.
named her daughter after her. And that's
Yeah.
like I get to see that and I get to live like and watch her like through like Facebook. Like my Marissa was so close to her. Like
Yeah.
her screenshot is of her and Nicolette.
Right.
It's they're just in a better place right now
Yeah.
you know and that's kind of what gets me through today
Yeah.
with Michael and with Nicolette, with my dad, with anyone, like with any loss.
Right.
They're just in a better place right now. Epilepsy's, dude, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
I don't think I could ever live with knowing that is today going to be a good day, is today going to be a day I have a seizure.
Yeah.
I don't think I could ever do that, so they're absolute warriors. Anyone who's dealing with epilepsy or living with it, I should say living with it, not dealing with it, living with epilepsy, my hat's off to them, man. It's
Yeah.
the courage they face every day is amazing.
Yeah. Let's talk about how miserable it was for having two twins for a while.
Hurry up, Frank. Change this. Change this.
Move on.
Move on. Holy shit.
Oh.
Oh my God. 'Cause we've been talking for an hour already. Almost.
Yeah, now 40 minutes, whatever. We're fine.
Like,
But
I wish Nick was here to get you another drink for crying
yeah,
out loud.
Jesus Christ. God, it's the
I,
second time I cried on my podcast. Fuck.
what was the first time?
I cried about Vidro's dad because you remember that banquet we had? How
Yeah.
fucking awesome that was.
Yeah.
I got a little teary eyed on that
All
one.
right.
It's not fucking it's not your brother, Nicolai. It's not anywhere close to that.
No, but it's
Yeah.
a guy you had memories with, and
Yeah. And
the
it was a
connection. Listen, there's no age that it's okay for you to lose your dad.
of course, no,
There's
never.
no like you could be 75 and your father could be 96.
Yeah.
It still sucks.
And it doesn't even matter the relationship either, really.
No,
It just sucks.
it sucks.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
just always sucks. All right, so let's let's talk about raising kids.
Yeah, raising kids was, I mean, listen, I didn't want, I can't say this, can I? I don't want to raise two pussies. I really, I couldn't do it, right? I
Right.
couldn't do,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I don't think you have them.
no, no, Marissa's definitely the tougher of the bunch. And that's really tough to say, by the way. She's gotten so good at it. Like, whenever we make a comment about someone,
Yeah.
and the first time I ever heard say this, it was absolutely brilliant and true. She would say, "Dad, that's not judgmental, it's observational."
she's your
I'm just making observation of that person. I'm
she,
not being judgmental of
she's your kid.
she's 100%. She is me to a T.
Oh,
Marissa is an amazing athlete. Let
yeah.
let me tell you about how awesome she is, right? And how much of my child she is. You know me. I'm a big baseball guy.
Yeah.
The whole travel baseball. I hook, line, and sinker. Right.
Yeah.
When I was first forming my team, she was probably one of my best t-ball players. She really was. Like she would come up the bat. I'm like, she's a lefty. She was like, Dad, where do you want me to hit? I'm like, all right, I need you to hit a line drive over the first baseman's head and leg out a double. And she would do it. She was like, Dad, there's a guy on second and third. What should I do here? I'm like, Marissa, you know what? Try to hit the ball opposite field over the third baseman's head, right? And try to hook it around, see if you can leg out a triple. Boom, done. Like literally everything I asked her to do it, she would do,
Yeah.
right? And she was a lefty. She caught really well. She threw really well for a 7-year-old, not a girl,
Right.
right? A 7-year-old.
Right.
So I'm forming the 7-year-old travel baseball team roster
Yeah.
at our kitchen table, and I'm on the phone with one of the other coaches, and she's sitting next to me, and she looks at the roster and she goes, "Why is my name not on the roster?" I said, "Baby, like this is a little different. Like this is kids pitching to you now." She's like, "Yeah," and she's like, "I'm better than this one. That one's gonna quit. This one's gonna cry. He shouldn't be. The only reason why this kid's on his team because his dad is a coach." Like she broke down the whole roster, right? And I was having such. You want to talk about regrets? I was having such a tough time with it.
Yeah.
Like, Dave, like her Holy Communion, she
Yeah.
made Holy Communion in the morning. That afternoon, I'm pitching soft toss to her at DV's field. Like her bun is up, so like she's got her makeup, her earrings in,
Yeah.
and she's just peppering line drives like while I'm throwing soft toss to her, right?
Yeah.
And she said, if you don't put me on this roster, I'll never play a sport with a ball again. And that's why she's a cheerleader. And she's 15 years old, and she's never
Yeah.
like, she's great at basketball, like,
Yeah.
great shot, she plays good defense.
Yeah.
Like, I put her in a Wildwood, like, basketball camp. She got MVP of the camp, a boy-girl, like, co-ed,
Yeah.
and the coach was like, "Yeah, where does she play AAU ball?" I'm like, "She's cheerleading for Cheer Forcing League. She don't play basketball." She was like, "Frank, she's probably one of the best 3 and D kids I've ever seen at this age." I'm like, "I don't even know who you're talking about right now." You know,
Yeah.
and, she's spiteful, but, by the way, shout out to Nicky. Nicky had his first high school baseball game for
Awesome.
Bishop Eustace,
Yeah.
went 2 for 2, he had a triple his first at bat,
Awesome.
double, followed with a double, couple RBIs, so that's kinda raising them. I always gave them the option of being who they are,
Yeah.
right? And I think I never wanted to force feed anything down their throats.
Right.
Marissa wanted to be a cheerleader. I wanted her to be a softball player and a basketball player. Let me be honest with you.
Right.
That's what I want. Like we were watching the championship game last night, and
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark is like burying like threes. By the way, that's ridiculous what they're doing to that girl,
Yeah.
Angel Reese. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, get over yourselves for crying out loud.
Oh, the girl that what, hit her or whatever. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So last night in the
Uh,
LSU, yeah,
the girl
like
that put her finger up or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
like come on, like get over
Yeah.
yourselves.
Leave her alone.
Jesus Christ. But we're watching that game. I'm like, that could have been you, but no, let's do a cheer. Let's cheer on other basketball players. She's great about it. Now. But we always gave them an option of being who they are. Like
Yeah.
Nikki's very heavily involved in baseball. I ask him if he wants to quit like all the time. I'm like, hey, do you want to do this? You sure you want to do it? How about lacrosse? You want to try soccer? Let's try something different.
Yeah.
No, it's always baseball with him.
Yeah. What's the plan for the next 5, 10 years? You got any plans?
Personally,
Yeah.
yeah, so, I'm trying to position myself to where I could be live passive income,
Yeah.
don't have to work as much.
Right.
Even though I say that out loud, I don't know if I would ever be just okay not working or
Yeah.
not working as much. I just think it's kinda who I am, my personality is, I need to get up at 5 AM, I need to work out, like, I'm very routine oriented,
Yeah.
but definitely, place here, place down the shore, place in Florida, kinda
Do that.
traveling between the 3, 5 years, hopefully, both kids are in college, and we're visiting college, and me and Andrea are traveling a lot more.
Yeah.
We kind of have a bucket list of places we wanna visit.
The kids are in what, ninth grade?
They're in ninth grade,
Ninth
yeah.
grade. So
Separate schools.
yeah, just tell us about life right now. What are you up to?
Dude, life my life is absolutely insane right now. It's like like if it's not in my Google Calendar,
Yeah.
like I'm missing it.
Yeah.
So I got a fantastic assistant now. Her name's Ren.
Yeah.
Ren literally puts everything in my calendar, like my kids' games. Hey, you got to pick up Marissa at this time, or you have a meeting with this person. My life right now is very structured, and then when I have free time, I'm trying to be present, available to my mother, my wife, my kids,
Yeah.
family, friends. Friends are very important to me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my life right now. And but life's kind of I'll say this. Life's kind of miserable with me not coaching baseball right now.
Really?
Yeah, it really I thought I would be okay with it.
You miss it.
I miss it.
Yeah.
I really do.
What do you miss most about it?
I miss the development of young athletes,
Yeah.
and being an impact in their life,
Yeah.
right? Some of the biggest impacts I've ever had came from my coaches or a teacher,
Yeah.
right? Even if I didn't take that teacher's advice. So,
Right.
got a great text message actually this weekend from a former parent that said, "I got to tell you, like the Genzano boys are all thriving in high school because of you." And that was
That's
probably
nice.
one of the best compliments I can get.
Yeah.
I have a lot. I would, there's a lot of boys that are playing high school baseball on some prominent teams.
Right.
and they're on varsity. And that was my only goal, was to get them ready to play
Yeah.
high school baseball, but also get them ready for life, right? Deal
Yeah.
with some adversity, carry yourself with confidence, be a good teammate, right?
Yeah.
And be an asset, right? That was something I always told all of them. Just be an asset to whoever you're with right now. So probably backtrack on that question, probably next 5 years when Nikki Mercer are out of high school, probably going to do like a developmental baseball team for at-risk kids here in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Baseball has become such a country club sport
Yeah, it
that
has.
not a lot of I'm going to say poor or disadvantaged
Yeah.
or at-risk kids could afford to play right now.
Yeah, Frank. I mean, if it was that way when we were kids, there's no chance that I play baseball. There's none.
Right.
I love that idea. I love the idea of inner city kids. I know you probably hate the idea of bringing back the in-house league. I hate that there's the proliferation of travel baseball. What?
Yeah, I literally right there with you. Like in-house, like some places call it town baseball, some
Yeah.
people call it little league, some people call it Cal Ripken,
Yeah.
which it is.
Right.
It takes away from the everyday baseball player. Like
Yeah.
my son's best friend, the only time he would have ever been his my son's teammate is in an in-house league, and my
Right.
son just wanted to play with him.
Right.
Like that was his boy. Like that's
Yeah.
he just wanted Nick Goga on his team, right?
Right.
And Nick's a rower he's an athletic kid. I think he's a black belt in karate.
Right.
But baseball is a difficult sport to pick up when you're 12 years old or 11 years old or 10 years old.
Right.
It's a tough, especially if you haven't figured things out with your body yet,
Right.
how to be athletic.
Yeah.
It could be a difficult sport. I'm not saying it's not for every kid. It's just staged different. Equalizers when you're 15,
Right. Yeah.
you know?
That's why in-house would really. Yeah. I agree.
Like
Yeah.
some of the best times I ever had playing baseball was playing little league baseball or
Yeah.
in-house baseball.
Yeah. But some of the best memories, and yeah. And you never remember the wins or losses, really. You remember the things that you did on a bench or whatever, or some weird thing that happened during a game.
Dave, I'm still friends with guys I was friends with in little league right now,
Right.
which is amazing, right?
Right.
Um, But listen, travel ball is good and it's bad. All right. So here's the bad part. And we're going to talk about it because it needs to be said. There's a lot of entitled, privileged kids and parents. And unfortunately, it has more to do with the parents than the kids,
Always.
right?
Yeah.
If your son's not the starting shortstop on the best team, then daddy who has a little bit of money or mommy who has a little bit of money goes and starts their own little team
Yeah.
to make little Johnny or Rodney or whoever the hell their name is to be the shortstop, and they try and recruit to that team. The recruitment part in travel baseball is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
I always went from a developmental standpoint, and the proof is in the pudding. Humble brag right here. All
Yeah.
right,
Go for it.
and let me do it. And it's not really my personality, but it has to be said. You know, my team's ranked number one still in the state of New Jersey, and number 28th, according to a few ranking authorities, aka nerds who live in their mom's basement. 28th in the country
Right.
because we focused on development,
Right. Yeah.
and development will always beat recruitment, in my opinion.
Well, of
Um,
course. I mean, at 10 years old, it doesn't, you're not even on a real baseball field yet, right?
no,
So it should just be developing skills. But I can go
yeah.
on about this stuff forever. It just gets
So,
lost in the sauce.
let me ask you this:
Yeah.
how do you feel about the MLB right now?
Well, how do you feel
I
about it,
don't know.
Frank?
I hate all of it. I literally hate, and I need some help with it because I haven't really talked about this
Yeah.
with anyone, and I might die on this hill. I hate all of the new rule changes. I feel if I'm a baseball purist,
Yeah.
I think this kind of solidified that I'm a baseball purist.
I don't hate the steel, like the new bases. If it makes the game a little bit more exciting and brings
The bigger
the
bases.
bigger
Yeah.
bases. Yeah.
I hate that you can't throw over more than two times
Yeah.
because what happened to Trey Turner last night, which was a Sunday night game, was that April 2nd
Yeah.
ish, was he had two throw overs and then they just took a pitch clock violation in the middle of his steal to negate his steal. That's horseshit.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
That
Yeah.
I wanted to break my TV.
Yeah, I haven't even been that engaged in it yet. So, but this again, it's baseball's not a time sport.
And that's the one thing I love about it.
Yeah.
Like, we both love football,
Right.
right? Well, I like basketball. I don't know how you feel about
I like
basketball,
basketball. Yeah.
right? Hockey, a time sport. The three sports we just said time sport. Soccer or football, whatever, European football. I could spend an hour talking about how ridiculous that is. That they fake injuries. Oh, my
Yeah.
leg, and they spray a little mist sauce on it,
Yeah.
and they get up and they're running it. Like, come on.
So, I
But
mean,
I hate time sports
and I get
for
that.
that fact.
I get that they want to move the game a little bit faster. I get that, but when you're starting to change the complexion of the actual sport, it's a problem.
The integrity of the game.
Yeah.
The integrity of the game is being challenged right now, and on so many different angles. Last night's broadcast on ESPN, he had Michael Kay and A-Rod,
Yeah.
Alex Rodriguez, and the whole time Alex Rodriguez is playing with a baseball, and they have you on screen. Like, I don't need to see those 2 guys during the
Right.
baseball game. I wanna watch the baseball game.
Yeah.
Like, they had Meek Mill on. Like, what does Meek Mill know about baseball?
Oh yeah, that's like what they were trying to do with the UFC when they had Screaming A. Smith on. Remember that? That
Yeah.
lasted. That lasted one day.
Yeah, it didn't last long.
Well, yeah,
And listen, I love the guy. He's a local treasure.
yeah,
Anthony Gargano, I think he's probably one of the best sports talk personalities in the city. But it's the top of the ninth in a 2-1 game, and they got him talking about Allen Iverson and Dr. J. Like, talk about the game. Ugh. It's been such a huge turnoff for me, and it's been such a escape for me to watch baseball during the summer
yeah.
because I love the game,
And
right?
but it's right off the heels of the greatest World Baseball Classic there ever has been. Yeah,
I actually said this to somebody. I
yeah,
miss the World Baseball Classic,
yeah,
and I actually would prefer that they move it to get rid of the All-Star game.
yeah.
All-Star game's trash.
It is
No,
trash.
no, just like the NFL Pro Bowl, the trash.
Right
Like, move that tournament. It should be every 2 years. Move that tournament to the All-Star break.
to the middle of the season.
Yeah, to the 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Give everybody off for 2 weeks. Let the players who aren't playing for their countries kinda heal a little bit,
yeah,
relax, enjoy their because it's a long season,
yeah,
right? And then let those guys go and compete for their countries because they loved it.
yeah. It was
That
awesome.
but on top of it, it it gives a different dynamic. Like, go let America, the US, play Britain in Fenway,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
Like, go see what that atmosphere is like playing Great Britain in America in
yeah,
Boston,
yeah.
you
Well, yeah.
know?
Boston Tea Party.
The
Yeah, yeah.
Boston, like, play into that a little bit. Go play a game in Cuba. Go
Right.
go have a round of games in Cuba. Give
Go play.
Chicago, like, an opportunity, to see other teams countries play.
Go play Germany in Munich and have and all the Americans
Israelis.
and everybody have
Munich.
Munich. Everybody have small mustaches.
No, 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 nope,
Nope.
nope,
Nope.
nope.
End
Edit
of the
that out. Edit out.
end of the podcast. It's over.
No, but the fact I think baseball, I think they're onto something really great
Yeah.
with the World Baseball Classic. I think it needs to be played during the All-Star break.
Yeah.
But these changes has it's driving real baseball guys away from the game. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm fearful of.
Well, yeah. I mean that's a dangerous thing because that's all they have right now. I mean they just have they have us old guys is who they have. I mean I know they're trying to get some of the younger generation, but making it more not making the game shorter, but making it more exciting will be the way to go. So the bigger bases make sense because then you're more running in the game and that kind of a thing. You
Right.
know, any way that they can do that, I don't have all the ideas in the world, but some angles out in the outfield so you can have some doubles and some triples and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Make it more exciting.
No, but what they did was they made umpires more prominent.
Yeah,
And they should be seen less,
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
They shouldn't be part of the game.
What was the opening day of the for the Yankees, I think there was like 26 strikeouts or something like that. So it's like the game. The problem in the game right now is why people don't like it is because it's a home run or it's a strikeout. It's
Yeah.
fucking boring.
There's no small ball anymore.
Yeah,
There's
it's
absolutely no small. There's no singles. There's no bunting to move the guys over. The art of the game is gone.
yeah.
It really is.
The action in the game is gone, right?
Yeah.
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 All right, let's talk about some advice that you might give some people. Frankie, 18-year-old you. Would you have any advice for 18-year-old version of you?
Yeah. Be yourself.
Yeah.
Be yourself because you'll attract more. You'll attract more in the universe if you're just yourself, right? And be honest with yourself.
Yeah, that's tough, but yeah, but
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and if you can't be honest with yourself, find someone who's going to be honest with you.
We've had no trouble with that.
We've never had trouble with that. And, it's I think it speaks volumes to like you have Mikey Bright. I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm allowed to say his last
Yeah, you're
name.
good. You're good.
Mikey's been your childhood friend for
Yeah. He's my guy.
he's your guy,
Yeah.
right? Joey Sergio, Danny McMicken, John Nini,
Yeah.
Anthony DeFebo,
Yeah.
Ricky Lees, Ernie Dater. Like
Yeah.
they're all my guys,
Yeah.
right? They've all been honest with me before.
Well, they're not a few of them aren't really my guys, but they're honest with me.
Probably number three is your education is your respect.
Yeah.
You know, focus on what you want to focus on. Be great at something. Try to be great at something and do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Let's tie that into Nicolette. Do what makes you happy because
Yeah.
you could be miserable doing something you don't want to do, right? But do what makes you happy.
Yeah. How about new parents? Any advice?
Be patient. Be patient and listen to your partner. Like focus on your partner a little bit. The first year the twins were here, Andrea called those her dark days.
Yeah.
Kind of felt like she lost a little bit of herself,
Yep.
not be judgmental about it. Like I'm sure the thousands and thousands of subscribers have now tuned in to Angry Dave.
Right.
She called me one day. She was like, I want to go back to work. I need to have conversations with adults.
Yeah.
And I understood that.
Of
Right.
course. Yeah.
And our kids turned out okay.
Yeah.
We sent them to daycare. They turned out okay.
I
They're right.
I believe in that socialization for kids, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. And we had our oldest son in like a local, like a lady's house when he was just a couple kids.
Hmm.
And then he went to a larger daycare the last year, like kind of like a preschool. And his social development went through the roof in that one year. And so we did, and Nicholas was way far ahead of Jacob in that way because he was basically in bigger daycare from the beginning.
And he's hilarious.
Yeah, he's pretty funny.
Like he opened doors. He's like, "What's up, Frank?" like, yo, what's up, Nick? How you doing? So new parents as well is don't neglect your partner either.
Yeah.
You
How,
know,
how about new husbands?
new husbands without kids or just new
Just
husbands.
new husbands. Just
Yeah,
dealing with your wife.
dude. First of all, let me say this. Like, I'm around a lot of young people right now
Yeah.
because what my job a lot of young real estate agents. I would not be able to be single these days.
Yeah.
They're banging like other friends in the group, like friends group, and everyone's okay with it. Like
Yeah.
I could never be okay with like I'm hooking up with this girl and then tomorrow she's hooking up with you.
Yeah. We don't do that. We didn't
We
do that.
we did a little different. Did a little different,
Yeah. There's
you
plenty
know.
of fish in the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um Listen, new husbands is you have to pay attention to your partner. Verbally, make sure you're communicating with her verbally and non-verbally. She's getting ready to be the most important person in your life if she's not already, but when you start a family, she's the pinnacle.
Yeah.
So you have to treat her as such. You really do.
How about bosses?
Be empathetic. Lead with empathy. Always.
Yeah.
Always. Don't the bottom line is not the most important thing. Leading with empathy is. And I think that's something that kind of developed over the last like 5 or 6 years is kind of leading with empathy and listening more.
How about young workers? Any advice for young workers?
Dude, I love the young workers right now. They
Yeah.
don't give a fuck. You know,
Yeah.
they
I
they
d-
they're they're like, hey, you don't if I don't like this, I'm out.
yeah.
Right?
I like that about them.
Me too.
Listen, there's nobody had more fucking jobs in their 40s than me. So so I'm that guy. I have a very much a young worker mentality. The only difference I feel like that I have is I didn't feel like I owned the fucking world from the first day I walked into the job.
Yeah.
I don't know if you find that in real estate or
My advice for young workers is always be an asset.
yeah,
When someone's hiring you, any good company's hiring you for you to tell them what to do, not vice versa.
right,
But whenever I hire someone, I'm hiring them for them to kind of elevate us,
yeah,
our company, but also elevate themselves. And when we're ready to part ways, most likely they're going to leave me before I let them out the door,
right,
you know?
yeah,
If someone's an asset to us, I'm going to find something else for them to help them continue to grow in our organization.
yeah,
And just to be clear, you know, 1.9 billion dollar business I run, 475 agents, a staff of 20,
yeah,
in a very difficult market right now.
right,
You know, we're always working to keep assets, you know, within the company who can continue to
yeah,
contribute. So
yeah,
just be an asset, you
yeah.
know.
But yeah, and don't stare at the job description. Don't tell me that's not your job. Like
Ever.
ever.
No, and here's the thing, when someone says that it's not my job,
Yeah,
immediately I know that person is not a right fit for us.
yeah,
You know,
right.
there's different ways of weeding that out during the interview process too.
Yeah.
Slow to hire, quick to fire.
Slow to hire, quick to fire
Fire.
is great advice.
Yeah.
How about what would 18-year-old you think of you?
Right now,
Yeah, what would
he
he
would be disappointed.
why would he be disappointed?
Because I mean, first of all, I mean, you know, it's 18-year-old Frankie Genzano had very high aspirations for himself. You know,
Yeah,
he thought in order to be successful, you needed the fast car, the big house,
right.
the super hot wife,
Yeah,
right? 18-year-old Frankie Genzano would be slightly disappointed with 48-year-old Frankie Genzano. But 48-year-old Frankie Genzano is very happy
right.
being in peace.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah,
there's as chaotic as my day is, it's relatively peaceful.
yeah. All right. I need some embarrassing stories, my friend. Any drunk or high story that would you would like to share?
All right, so this is a tough one for me to share. All right.
Yeah,
This this is a really tough one for me. So before I even say this,
yeah,
like whenever I ask people to come and speak at my office
yeah,
to give like any advice or talk on a topic, I always want them to give everything they have and be transparent.
yeah.
All right. And I'm going to do the same thing right now.
I'm listening.
All right. I am telling this story. Can't believe it. All right. Here's the deal. I was 15 years old. I'm my son's age right now.
Right.
And me and Ronnie Delalis
I
are,
remember Ronnie. I
are
played.
we play football with him, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, are walking to go meet some girls,
yeah.
and me and Ronnie have been working out a lot together. And I was taking some amino acids
Uh huh.
and some creatine
Uh huh.
and eating a lot of protein.
Yeah,
If you could kind of understand where this story's going right now.
I do.
And I was we're walking up Passyunk Avenue,
Yeah.
and we got to 19th and Passyunk, right outside of Stephen Gerrard's or grade school. And I shit my pants.
Did Ronnie know it?
Ronnie knew it because I told him. I said, Ron, I just shit my pants, right?
Yeah.
And he could not stop laughing at all, right?
Yeah.
He
Of
was like,
course.
well, what do you want to do? I'm like, I can't walk right now. So I called my dad,
Yeah.
and my dad picked us up in his brand new Cadillac. His brand new Cadillac. I called my dad, and he was like, you know, the one thing about my dad was like, I called him, and I'm like, yo, I need help.
Yeah.
He's right there,
Right.
right?
Of course. Yeah.
Um, I called him like, Dad, I shit my pants. He's like, what? Say it loud. I'm like, Dad, I shit my pants. He's like, Mary, I don't know what's wrong with him. Why? I don't know why he's whispering. What are you saying, Frank? Dad, I shit my pants. I'm at 19 at Shunk. Can you come pick me up? I'm outside the RNA bar. He showed up. He could not stop, but I couldn't sit down, right?
Yeah.
So Ronnie's sitting in the back seat. I had both my knees on the passenger seat, and I'm looking at Ronnie, right? I, he was like, I don't know how I'm going to explain this. We were supposed to meet these girls at 11th and Porter, and you shit your pants. I said, I swear to God, if you tell anyone this ever happened, I'll end you. I swear to God, I will. And guess what? Ronnie never did.
He never told
Never
anybody.
told
That's a
anybody.
good friend, man.
Yeah, he's a really good friend.
There's no chance that I wouldn't have told somebody.
You would have told 1,000 people. You would have told. It would have been a Facebook status update if I
Uh,
known you.
oh God. Oh God. Like people would have came up to me and be like, "Hey, how you doing, Dave?" I'm like, "Good." Frank shit his pants today.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Frank shit his pants.
That wasn't even my question, by the way, but that's a good answer. How about how about a drunk story? You got any drunk stories?
Yeah, I do actually.
Give me a drunk story. One drunk story. I mean, you have fucking 150 of them, but
1,000.
yeah.
I'm gonna give you two
All right.
because one's a drunk and one's a high. All right. Which one you want first? You tell me.
Drunk.
Drunk is um I am it's the first wedding me and my wife are attending as a married couple.
Yes.
And I ate nothing, like zero things all day,
Yeah.
and decided that I was going to get into a drinking contest with one of Andrea's friends' husbands and lost. And the loss was me sleeping half naked with my pants down at the 18th hole at Fairless Hills Country Club on a bench while my wife was in the wedding and couldn't find me for 3 hours. I was woken up by her trudging by me, looking for me in the dark with her bridesmaid dress hiked up,
Yeah.
trying to find me. And I got hysterical laughing when she woke me up. And she just lost it. She's like, "What are you? My parents are here. Why are your pants down? Why am I looking at your dick right? What the hell's wrong with you?" You know, the whole 9 yards, you know.
Yeah.
We've been married for 4 months. 4 months, and you're acting. Yeah. That happened. That happened.
How about your high story?
I took acid twice in my life.
Uh huh.
The first time I ever took acid, I was at the art museum.
That's a terrible place to be.
Horrible place, by the way. It's a horrible place to be. And let's just say I left the art museum that evening,
Yeah.
and wound up at a Wawa in Runnymede, New Jersey. I don't know how I got there. My friends told me the last time they saw me, I was running up the parkway with my shirt off. I called my dad the following morning to pick me up at the Wawa in Runnymede. I was 19 years old,
Nice.
and my back and my legs were killing me. And we said no words on the way home. It was really quiet.
You and your dad.
Me and my dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't ask me how I ended up there, why I was picking up, why I only had one sock on with two sneakers, why my shirt wasn't on, and why I looked the way I looked. He just knew. He knew something bad happened. Listen, he was my guy, right? Like
Yeah.
whenever I was in trouble, whenever I needed advice, like regardless if I followed his advice,
Yeah.
like he was my guy,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I'm trying to cultivate with my two kids right now. I just
Yeah.
want to be their guy.
Yeah. The one that they can come to, right?
Yeah.
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 No judgment. I mean, I'm going to make fucking fun of you, but you should be able to come to me.
But that's what we do, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Right. That's exactly what we do.
hey, everybody, this is Dave. The conversation between Frank and I continues into episode 19. The conversation will continue. It will finish. There's some more hilarity to come. I hope you tune in. Until then, I'm out. Peace.